Welcome to Lesson 29.2, Animals in Their Environments. In this lesson, we'll explain how periodic changes in external environmental factors affect animal behavior. We'll explain how social behaviors increase the evolutionary fitness of a species. And we'll summarize the ways that animals communicate. How do periodic changes in external environmental factors affect human behavior? Many animals respond to periodic changes in external factors in the environment with daily or seasonal cycles of behavior. Behavioral cycles that occur daily are called circadian rhythms. You sleep at night and attend school during the day. This is an example of a circadian rhythm. Other cycles are seasonal. In temperate and polar ecosystems, many species enter a sleep-like state or dormancy during winter. Dormancy is a behavioral and physiological adaptation that allows organisms to survive periods when food and other resources may not be available. In mammals, dormancy is called hibernation. Another type of seasonal behavior is migration, the seasonal movement from one environment to another. Many animal populations migrate over huge distances. The illustration shows the migration of green sea turtles between their feeding grounds on Brazil's coast and their nesting grounds on Ascension Island. Migration allows animals to take advantage of finite supplies of environmental resources whose availability changes seasonally. Why do songbirds migrate? Many songbirds live in warm tropical regions where food remains available during northern winters. When these birds fly north in the spring, they take advantage of seasonally abundant food and find space to nest and raise their young. Whenever birds sing, bighorn sheep butt heads, or chimpanzees groom one another, they are engaging in social behavior. Social behaviors include courtship, territoriality, aggression, and the forming of societies. Social behaviors such as choosing mates, defending territories or resources, and forming social groups can increase evolutionary fitness. Members of sexually reproducing animal species must locate and mate with other members of their species to reproduce and ensure survival of populations and species. Courtship is behavior during which members of one sex, usually males, advertise their willingness to mate, and members of the opposite sex, usually females, choose which mate they will accept. Typically, males send out signals, sounds, visual displays, or chemicals that attract females. The musical trill of a tree frog, for example, is a breeding call. In some species, courtship involves an elaborate series of behaviors called rituals. A ritual is a series of behaviors performed the same way by all members of a population for the purpose of communication. Most rituals consist of specific signals and responses that continue until mating occurs. In this picture, gannets bond by engaging in beak pointing, intertwining their necks while pointing their beaks to the sky. How does courtship behavior increase evolutionary fitness? Courtship behavior helps to ensure mating and the passing of one's genes to offspring. Many animals exhibit behaviors related to competition for limited environmental resources. Individuals occupy and defend a specific area or territory that contains resources such as food, water, nesting sites, shelter, and potential mates, which are necessary for survival and reproduction. If a rival enters a territory, the owner of the territory attacks in an effort to drive the rival away. Grizzly bears, like the one shown, often mark their territories with their fur and scent by scratching their backs on rough surfaces, such as trees or signposts. While competing for resources, animals often show aggression, threatening behaviors used to exert dominance. Fights between male sea lions over territory and harems of females often leave both rivals bloodied. While it might not look very social, aggression when competing over limited resources is indeed social behavior. Animals may aggressively defend the limited resources in their territory from others to increase their own evolutionary fitness. An animal society is a group of animals of the same species that interacts closely and often cooperate. Societies can offer a range of advantages that can produce differential reproductive success between group members and individuals. Zebras, for example, are safer from predators when they are part of a group than when they are alone. Societies can also improve animals' abilities to hunt, to protect their territory, to guard their young, or to fight with rivals. In wild African dog packs, adult females take turns guarding all the pups in the pack while the other adults hunt for prey. Macaque, baboon, and other primate societies hunt together, travel in search of new territory, and interact with neighboring societies. Members of a society are often related to one another. Elephant herds, for example, consist of mothers, aunts, and their offspring. Males are kicked out when they reach puberty. The theory of kin selection holds that helping relatives can improve an individual's evolutionary fitness because related individuals share a large proportion of their genes. Helping a relative survive, therefore, increases the chances that the genes an individual shares with that relative will be passed on to offspring. The most extreme examples of relatedness and the most complex animal societies, other than human societies, are found among social insects such as ants, bees, and wasps. In social insect colonies, all individuals cooperate to perform extraordinary feats such as building complex nests. In an ant colony, such as the one shown, all workers in the colony are females who are very closely related, which means that they share a large proportion of one another's genes. For this reason, it is advantageous for them to cooperate to help their mother, the queen, reproduce and raise their sisters, other workers. Male ants function only to fertilize the queen. In this example, major workers gather leaves to grow the fungus on which the colony feeds. They use saw-like mandibles to cut and carry leaf tissue. Smaller worker ants ride the leaves, alert for potential threats. Minor workers of several castes tend the fungus gardens. They chop leaves into a paste, clean and tend the gardens, infect new gardens with fungus, and harvest fungus for the colony. Soldiers are the largest workers. They guard the nest and respond quickly to danger. Dump chambers contain waste, including dead fungus and dead ants. Openings to the outside provide ventilation. The queen has one purpose, laying eggs. Most eggs become workers, which are non-reproducing females. Males exist only to reproduce. Females that will become queens leave the nest, mate, and lay eggs to start a new colony. Because social behavior involves more than one individual, it requires communication, the passing of information from one individual to another. Communication is an important adaptation among many species. Animals may use a variety of signals to communicate with one another. Specific techniques that animals use depend on the types of stimuli their senses can detect and on the effects of their environment on different types of signals. Many animals use visual signals and have eyes that sense shapes and colors at least as well as humans do. Squid, which have large eyes, use changes in body color as signals. In many species, males and females have different color patterns, and males use color displays to advertise their readiness to mate. Some animals, such as the firefly, send visual signals at night using light generated within their bodies. Many insects, fish, and mammals have well-developed senses of smell and communicate using chemical signals. Some animals, including lampreys, bees, and ants, release chemical messages called pheromones, which affect the behavior of other individuals of the same species, to mark a territory or to signal the readiness to mate. Pheromones are usually organic acids or alcohols that are highly volatile and can be detected in very small quantities. Other forms of communication include sound signals and language. Most species can make and detect sounds that they use to communicate. Some species have evolved elaborate systems of communication. Dolphins, like those shown, communicate in the ocean using sound signals that travel long distances through water. Bottlenose dolphins each have their own unique signature whistle that informs others of who is sending the communication. Elephants also make distinctive sounds, both with their vocal apparatus and with their feet. Elephants and some other animals can send messages through the ground or through water, which recipients feel rather than hear. The most complicated forms of communication is language. Language is a system of communication that combines sounds, symbols, and gestures according to rules about sequence and meaning, such as grammar and syntax. Many animals, including elephants, primates, and dolphins, such as those shown in the picture, have complex communication systems. Some even seem to have words, calls with specific meanings, such as lions on the prowl. Many species, including honeybees, convey complex information using various kinds of signals. However, untrained animals don't seem to use the rules of grammar and syntax we use to define human language. How would you distinguish between sound signals and language? Sound signals are simpler than language, which is a system of communication that combines sounds, symbols, and gestures